after president is named after Warren Harding from Marion, Ohio. So how did this guy that wasn't very successful as a president get a glacier named after him? Well, it's an interesting story. In 1923, if you remember your American history, there was a big scandal in the United States called the Teapot Dome scandal, having to do with something in Wyoming, and President Harding wasn't handling, he was getting a lot of negative press because of it, and that's a whole other story. But he also knew that in 1923, the Alaska Railroad was completing. So to divert attention from all this bad attention he was getting, he brought a whole entourage all the way across the United States by train and then by boat all the way up to the interior of Alaska to dedicate the Alaska Railroad. It was a big political thing. And so here's a picture of his entourage. You see him right there in the middle. And in this picture is President Hoover and a lot of his cabinet members. It was very significant people came with him. I'm dancing up here. And actually they went hiking. Now, hiking in 23 is a little bit different than hiking today. This is hiking in 1923. A little bit different than today. But after they dedicated the train, they came back down to Haines, where we're going to be later, and then they just went a few miles up the Lynn Canal to the town of Skagway, we're going to be talking about today. And Skagway, a town of about 700 people, could not believe that a president of the United States was meeting them and coming there. So they put on a big feast for all of these people, and a seafood feast, any kind of seafood they could imagine, and it was wonderful. They rode the White Pass train and so forth. They came back down and got on a boat and headed to San Francisco to take the train back to D.C. But on the way back, President Harding became very, very ill. And finally, by the time he got to San Francisco, he was so ill that ultimately he died. So not only did he get this glacier named after him, he's the only president that died leaving Alaska. So here's the thing. They said he might have had a heart attack. He probably got some bad food poisoning from the seafood. They kind of blamed Skagway. However, I've heard rumors about this for years, so I did some extensive research. Now, in this picture behind me is President Harding's wife, but also in this picture is President Harding's mistress. Seriously, kind of a dumb thing to do. First of all, to have one, and secondly, to take them both on the same vacation seems a little strange to me. So when he died, Mrs. Harding refused to let them do an autopsy. And in my research, and you can take it for what it's worth, look it up yourself, I've read books about it, they believe that Mrs. Harding actually poisoned him. So there's no fury like that a woman scorned. So that's a little Alaska tidbit that you might not get anyplace else, but it's pretty amazing. And there they are. But today's subtitle of today's story is The Last Great Adventure the World Will Ever Know. Now, I know space is a big deal, and it really, really is.